everybody. Welcome to Wild Animal Wednesday. And today we're going to focus actually on how to write a research report. I know we kind of touch on it here and there, but I thought it'd be really nice, kind of getting towards the end of our journeys to really focus on how to write that research report. We have special guests today here, Polly, and she's all decked out in her adorable little hat. Little sweetie pie. So step number one on writing a research report is you have to figure out what you want to research. And guess what? Have a backup plan. There have been many times that I've picked out a certain creature, like an amphibian. There's one called this alpine salamander. I thought, oh, that'd be so cool. There's a salamander that lives in the mountains. That'd be a great thing to research. But you know what? I couldn't find any books on that subject. Now, you can still find things in encyclopedias. There's still a lot of information on the internet. But I thought, let's find something where we can find some actual reading material that goes along with the creature that we decide. So, step one, pick your creature. And then since we were doing bird report, Alexis, what bird did you choose?
I chose a cardinal.
That's right. And why did you choose the cardinal? Like, what made you choose, of all the amazing birds, like what made you choose the cardinal that made it kind of interesting to you? Maybe because it was a familiar bird? Yeah, so it was a familiar bird. It was one that she saw all the time, and she just kind of wanted to learn more about it. She's like, oh, I see cardinals all the time outside. It'd be nice to know a little more about them. So there's a couple ways of doing that. Either, you find one that is something you see all the time and you want to learn more about, or let's say you find one that you don't really know much about at all. Or you can find a familiar one. And in fact, a lot of the birds we did were familiar birds. But actually, we found a lot of interesting facts that I was a little bit shocked sometimes by the facts that we learned just out of ordinary everyday birds that we know about, but there were still cool things that we learned. So that was step number one, is you find your subject. So once you find your subject, then you have to gather materials. And we definitely recommend using your local library. So Alexis, how many books did we check out? Do you even know? We had quite a stack here.
20.
Well, sometimes we'll do about 20. We did actually 6 different books on cardinals. And luckily, because cardinals are such a common bird, we were actually able to get 6 different books. Sometimes, like there's one actually reptile, I could only find 2 books on that reptile. But the cardinal, believe it or not, there was probably at least 40 different options at the library. We use the library system that actually shows not just what's in your library, but all the local libraries around Michigan, and then they'll actually deliver them to your local library. So it's a great resource. So we were actually able to get 6 different cardinal books. So once we figured out what you wanted to do, you were able to get your 6 books. Or, and depending, you might only be able to get 3 books on this subject. You can get up to 10 books. I'd say you probably don't need too many more than 10. But have you noticed, Alexis, as we're reading different books, don't we find new information in each book?
Mm-hmm.
Every single time we're reading, we actually do. We find new information in every single book. There's a lot of repeat, but there's a lot of new stuff too.
And the colors cardinals can be is brown, red, and in one of the books, we found out that there's actually one rare yellow cardinal.
Mm-hmm. And that was something that I learned too, that I never knew there was a yellow cardinal. That was really cool to learn that. So so those are the information we found. Now we did not only use the 6 books, we read all 6 books, and she gathered facts from that. We also watched about 3 to 4 different YouTube videos, and there's a lot of really great information on YouTube on different animals. Some animals that you may not even find a book on, you'll be able to find a video about them. So then we used that video to just kind of establish what we did learn and kind of, resituate what we did learn. So we did the books first, touched up with the YouTube videos. And then what we did is I actually made 4 cards for her. I know the glare is pretty bright right now. So we had 4 different cards. There we go. We had 4 different cards. And on each card, she would gather different facts from the different books. So for instance, one card was about where they lived. One card was what they ate. Or you could also call, what's another name for where they live? What's the H?
Habitat.
That's right. So one was about habitat. So not just where they live, but also where they lived on the map. Another was about what they ate, which is their diet. Another one was about their description, what they look like. And then in conclusion, she wanted to talk about how their babies were born and their kind of like the baby development. So what we're going to do without further ado is we're going to have Alexis share her report. As she shares her report, I actually have a little cardinal sound that hopefully won't be too loud, so you just have to talk a little louder if it gets too, if the birds start chirping too loud. We have the cardinal sound, and she's going to share her report, and I'm just going to share some pictures from the books as she reads information about her cardinals.
Cardinals are red songbirds that live in North America. They can be 7 to 9 inches long and up to 1 to 2 ounces. They all have tough feathers called a crest. Male and female have a crest. Even the babies have a little crest. Male and female both have a dark orange beak. The male has dark red feathers and a black mask around his eye and beak. The female has mostly brown feathers with red dim feathers too. She has a gray mask around her eye and beak. Cardinals eat berries, seeds, and insects. Their favorite is sunflower seeds. They have hard, strong beaks so they can crack nuts. Cardinals like trees, bushes, and shrubs. It is where their nest is built. The female lays 2 to 5 speckled eggs. The eggs will hatch in 12 days. The chicks will eat a whole insect. They will leave the nest in 10 days. Then they are ready to fly.
I'm going to show you a cute little picture. So there's Mama feeding the insects. And they're whole insects as well, which we thought was interesting. And look, there's the whole family. Mama, Dada, baby.
The baby almost looks like a mini vulture, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. But that was pretty cool. So she learned a lot of, whoops. So Alexis learned a lot of really cool information on her cardinals by using the books. And then again, we just kind of had fun with the YouTube videos as kind of like just an extra little thing. So step 1 was what? Figure out your subject. Step 2, gather up your books. Step 3, write facts. And I recommend using cards. If you're starting off, maybe just do 2 cards. Maybe do one on their description and one on what they eat. So there's all sorts of different ways you can do it. We did 4 different cards. So use the cards because that way you're going to find out a little bit of different information from each book. So if one book says, in fact, the eggs was one thing we found was kind of different. One book said that they laid about 3 eggs. One said 2 to 5 eggs. And then we found a couple times they said 2 to 5 eggs. So that's what she wrote on her card for about the babies. So that was step number, what was that, 2? I lost track of my steps. 3, that's right. Step number 3 was gather your data on cards. And then I think the hardest part, step number 4, taking these facts and writing them into sentences. So I'm going to flip the camera around just to show you some different things. And then also Alexis drew a picture that she's going to, it's a little bit of a comic. She made like a cute little comic for her cardinals. But I'm going to flip this around and show you that too. If I can get this down here. Oh, sorry, everybody wants me to rotate my phone here. Oh my goodness, this is messing up. Okay, so there we are. So here, I wanted to kind of show you her fact cards here. So we decided the conclusion was going to be about the babies. The introduction, she wanted to talk about what the bird looked like. This is her card about their diet. And as you can see, there's so much information. She wasn't able to fit all of this in her report. And in fact, she had to really squeeze it in to fit it on her page here. The last one here was about their habitat. So as you can see, she wrote her bird report. And then over here, she did like a little cartoon. So Alexis, can you read to us your cartoon that you drew for the cardinals?
Do you have a bug yet? The chicks are really starved. Okay, I'm coming, honey. I hope the chicks are hungry. Do not stuff too much in your mouth. Quiet! I'm trying to sleep here!
So there she had the little cardinal nest and the babies. There's the little mama, which was mostly brown. There's that daddy cardinal getting the bugs for the baby. And then there's a little, what was sleeping in the tree? A little bat? A little nocturnal bat was sleeping in the tree. So I thought that was really cute how she put that together. Another thing I wanted to show you was that actually in her facts she wrote they laid 2 to 5 eggs, the eggs are speckled, and then in her report, I love how she put it together, that she wrote the female lays 2 to 5 speckled eggs. So she was able to take those 2 facts here and put them together as a sentence. So I thought that was great, Alexis. You did a good job on your report. Well, thank you so much for your sharing. And if anybody has any questions about research reports, or if you want to share what bird you're learning about, we'd love to hear that too, right? Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.